So what has your favorite superhero got to do with ancient religion? You're probably thinking, nothing? But what if I told you there's a powerful, hidden connection between them? One that reveals something pretty fundamental about how all of us find meaning in the world.
Okay, just take a look at this. On the left, you've got ancient religious stuff, picking a patron saint, buying amulets, going to big festivals. Now look at the right, modern fandom, picking your favorite character, your Oshi, buying their merch, and going to fan conventions. It's kind of wild, right? On the surface, they're worlds apart, but the pattern, the actual behavior, is almost exactly the same.
So what's going on here? How on earth can these two things, separated by centuries, be so similar? Well, the answer gets right to the heart of a basic human need, our need to take huge, complicated ideas and make them make sense. And trust me, the connection is going to change how you look at both faith and your favorite fandoms.
To really get it, we need to go way back to the very beginning, to the founders of the world's major religions and the absolutely revolutionary ideas they brought to the table.
Here's the key thing you got to wrap your head around. People like the Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, they weren't just making up rules. At their core, they were deep, heavy-hitting philosophers. They were wrestling with the biggest questions you can imagine, like suffering, morality, the nature of reality itself.
And you can see it right here. The Buddha's whole system was a deep dive analysis of suffering. Jesus was all about your inner morality being more important than just following the letter of the law. Muhammad introduced the radical idea of a single all-powerful God into a world full of them. This is not simple stuff. It's complex, demanding, intellectual work.
But, and this is a huge but, there's a problem. The average person, then and now, is just trying to get through the day, right? When you're worried about your crops, your health, where your next meal's coming from, you just don't have the bandwidth for abstract philosophy. You just need some help. Deep thoughts don't cure a sick child or guarantee a good harvest. What people really, truly needed were things they could see and feel. Practical help for real-life problems, a community to belong to, shared rituals they could do together, and, well, something simple and solid to hold on to.
So you've got this massive gap between the complex ideas of the founders and the daily needs of the people. And that gap is what sparked this incredible transformation. For these ideas to survive and spread to millions, they had to change. They had to become accessible. So, how'd they pull it off?
Well, it happened through this brilliant, almost like a formula, four-step process. First, personification, where ideas get turned into characters. Second, decentralization, where one big idea gets broken into a team of specialists. Third, fusion, where the new belief system blends in with local customs. And finally, materialization, where faith becomes something you can actually touch.
Okay, so let's start with personification. This is maybe the most important step. It's where you take a huge abstract concept, something like wisdom or universal compassion, and you give it a face, a name, a personality, and a backstory. It stops being a floaty idea and becomes someone you can actually connect with. Buddhism is the perfect example of this in action. The abstract concept of wisdom became Manjushri, compassion became Kannon. The idea of having an unshakable heart became this awesome, fierce protector figure, Fudo Myoo. All of a sudden, you're not just trying to contemplate compassion, you're praying to the living embodiment of compassion. It's a total game changer.
Next up is decentralization. So now, instead of one single, all-encompassing philosophy, you break it down into a whole menu of specialized figures. Think of it like this. You don't just have one general family doctor anymore, you have a whole team of specialists. Now there's a specific deity to pray to for success in business, another for safe travels, and another one for a healthy family.
So we've got our cast of relatable, specialized characters, but how do you make them feel real in people's day-to-day lives? The next steps are all about making belief tangible, bringing it out of the mind and into the physical world. A super clever strategy was to just fuse the new faith with whatever traditions were already there. Instead of coming in and saying, hey, everything you believe is wrong, they'd say, you know that local spirit you worship? Turns out they're actually one of our saints. Buddhism blended with Taoism in Asia. Christianity absorbed old pagan traditions in Europe, turning guardian spirits into patron saints. It just makes the new ideas feel familiar and way less threatening.
And the last piece of the puzzle is making it physical. The whole goal of this entire process is to take a faith that started out as a pure idea and turn it into something you can actually interact with in the real world, something tangible.
And these are the tools you use to do it. Statues and icons give the gods a physical body.
Amulets and talismans let you carry a little piece of that divine power around in your pocket. Holy relics, rosaries, prayer wheels, all of these things let you have a sensory experience of your faith. No deep theological knowledge required.
All right, so we've seen how this whole transformation played out in ancient history. Now, let's bring it back to today, because the exact same pattern is playing out right now all around us.
And here it is, the big parallel. Just like the abstract idea of compassion was personified into the character of Conan, today, the abstract idea of justice gets personified as a superhero. We're drawn to these characters for the exact same reason. They are the living embodiment of a virtue we admire. It is literally the same psychological process.
And what about making it tangible? An ancient believer carried an amulet for a feeling of protection. A modern fan buys a character keychain for a feeling of connection. Both are physical objects that are serving the exact same deep psychological need to take an invisible feeling and make it real. This parallel isn't just some fun little coincidence. It points to something universal and deeply human about our constant search for meaning and connection.
Look, this transformation isn't about dumbing down an idea. It's about an idea evolving so it can serve two crucial functions. You've got the theoretical version for the scholars and experts, which is all about individual truth-seeking, and then you have the social version for everyone else, which is all about community, ritual, and shared meaning. And frankly, it's that social version that builds entire cultures.
So, at the end of the day, this isn't a story about faith being lost or cheapened. It's a story about a timeless, fundamental human drive. We are all searching for something to believe in, something that gives our lives structure, connects us to other people, and helps us get through this crazy, complicated world.
Which brings us right back to you. Because whether it's an ancient faith or a modern fandom, we are all looking for tangible ways to connect with the ideas that matter to us. So, the question is, what's your system? What brings you that feeling of meaning? The answer probably says a whole lot about who you are.